questions that we have, and you may answer that, and we may answer that together when we run this program, is that an ASD patient in Poland, does that have the same, is that being diagnosed on the same terms as one in France or in Italy? We don't know. Does it get the same treatment? We don't know. So these are questions that we want to know, and this could be, for example, a naturalistic study, observational study in patients across Europe in order to get this information. We want to know if an ASD patient in Italy or in France or in Holland is the same as that in Norway. What we then want to do is to facilitate the implementation of clinical research to assess interventional pharmacological studies with pharma and academic sites. Very importantly, validate diagnostic, biochemical, electrophysiological and imaging markers that will help to identify the disease at an early stage and improve detection of treatment outcome. Initiate pharmacogenomic assessment from ongoing trials, possibly linking to other libraries. And then, very importantly, develop standardized assessment, outcome measures, treatment, and long-term follow-up criteria across Europe. And last but not least, I think it is an area where we think we need to be proactive, is to develop an educational program in Europe together with key stakeholders to increase the awareness. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding still in Europe on autism, and what we should do is act proactively and share the knowledge that we have with the wider public. And this could be in terms of training courses for scientists, physicians, patients and their families, but it should go beyond. So work package 5 is then on the data handling. This is something that I already discussed with somebody who's sitting here in the front, actually. So what we don't want is that these probably the structure, the governance of the work packages will be run by 2 persons, which will be a EFPIA member and one will be from the applicant consortium. And what, in talking to various others initiatives, what we don't want is that these work packages operate in isolation, because that's the risk, I think. What we want is that they're on a very early, let's say, implemented in the system. We want to have a proactive sharing of information. How we're going to do that, that needs to be determined, but I think it's very important that fast and proactive sharing of data is important. And work package 6 is around the project management and communication. This is about professional project management. So small SMEs, specialized SMEs are welcome here. Now, what we expect from you, the applicant consortium. And obviously, these are wishes, but they're not commands. Okay, so please be free. Don't see this as a directive, but read this as a recommendation. So the applicant consortium is expected to provide both preclinical and clinical expertise in a wider sense, okay? Preferably on autism, but this could be also in the field of depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolar, whatnot, CNS, and talking to some of the people here could also be expertise in the GI. There's also much GI problems in autism. Though I have to say the call was written specifically to look at the brain rather than at the periphery. So preferably we want to have scientific and clinical expertise and leadership in autism spectrum disorders, including a broad multidisciplinary dimension. And this could include, I'm saying could include, innovative project design and science, obviously, clinical trial expertise, regulatory expertise, because we're talking about endpoints, clinical endpoints, which would then enable to register drugs. I think that's important. Data management and integration expertise, involvement of patients' organization, that's the awareness that we want. An educational program to create this awareness, and then professional project management. What we will what will we as the EFPIA members bring in? That's listed here. It is kept at a high level, specifically because when we have the winning applicant consortium, we want to be in a situation where we can negotiate well and not have a clear position up front on what exactly that we will contribute, but what we will contribute, what we can contribute. So work package 1 will be led by Pfizer, and here we're looking at in vitro technologies, expertise and experiments, and if I read Rob Ring's wish list very clearly, particularly the pluripotent stem cells are high on the list on what they want to do. Neuroanatomical and electrophysiological expertise and experiments. On work package 2, which this will be led by Johnson & Johnson, they're very strong on the behavioral models and generation of transgenic animals, methods and expertise and experiments, and supply of pharmacological tools. This will be shared through the EFPIA members. I think on the behavioral level, I think the EFPIA members have always very strong behavioral groups. In general, I can say that being a behavioral pharmacologist, behavioral pharmacology in Europe is very strong, but we're not very strong on behavioral pharmacology in autism in Europe. That's where the US is much more advanced, I think. So that would be good if we could develop groups actually doing this in Europe. Work package 3 is on, this being led by Roche, develop biofluid biomarkers development and experiments, imaging expertise, method and experiments. For what I can share with you, for example, is that we have a huge database. We have a rodent MRI where we do a lot of work, and we have signatures, for example, of many drugs in our battery. And so this has helped us a lot in our drug development. That's something that could be done. And then translational behavioral procedures and experiments. I'm talking about PPI or other methods that we could use, EEG, MEG, whatnot. Work package 4 is being led by Novartis. And here we have clinical and neuropsychological expertise and experiments, imaging and electrophysiological expertise and experiments, experience and expertise in data relevant to clinical trials. So for your information, I already mentioned that earlier. Roche and Novartis are doing clinical trials in autism already, in Fragile X already. So this, some of the expertise and methods that we have used could be shared. That's clearly the case. Clinical trial supplies and logistics, and also regulatory approach. So what will be the key deliverables of the project? Well, to have an integrated approach using cellular assays, animal models, and translational biomarkers to enable drug discovery and development in ASD. So this will be then have the following aspects: the development of cellular animal models with a close link to neurobiology of ASD, and that supports translation from animals to patients. The validation of biomarkers that aid the drug discovery process to predict pharmacodynamic responses to drug, to allow patient stratification, but also, we shouldn't forget, to support regulatory submission. Then an integrated clinical and preclinical research approach for ASD built on not only industry, but also on academia. So we are together in this, advancing the field. And then last but not least, the promotion of an educational program to increase awareness. This is the EFPIA consortium. So we have Roche, Novartis, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Lilly, and Sigma Tau. So I think we're a very strong consortium. We have met, we had a meeting a couple of months ago, I think, a face-to-face meeting already, I think, which was really successful. We get to know each other, and I think we have similar thoughts on how this EFPIA, how this project should evolve.